Hello, good evening and welcome to News 360 here from the News Hub at Adisawe, Kanda. I'm Natalie Ford.
And my name is Alfred Okansi. Coming up in the bulletin tonight.
News 360 Headlines is brought to you by...
2 bodies retrieved after the collapse of an illegal mining pit at Petransa in the Asante Achim Central Municipality of the Ashanti region.
Family of the late Professor John Evans Atameos expresses disappointment over previous government failure to fulfill promises made to them after the death of a former president.
Also in the bulletin, chaotic scenes characterize first day of National Service Placement registration.
Oral examination of businessman Alfred Abeshiwoyome begins as he is ordered to furnish the court with property number of the house he claims belongs to his younger brother to be verified.
And in business, Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana reduces policy rate to 21%.
And on international front, researchers attending an international conference on HIV in Paris says patients may soon be taking injections rather than antiretroviral tablets. We bring you these stories and more, including sports and entertainment tonight here on News 360. On to our first story this evening. The Galamsey issue appears not to be letting up anytime soon, as 2 bodies have reportedly been retrieved from a Galamsey pit at Petransa in the Asante Achim Central Municipality in the Ashanti region. The illegal mining pit on Monday caved in, killing small-scale miners who were working underground at the time. 2 others were also injured.
The accident reportedly occurred at about 2 a.m. on Monday when the Galamsey operators went into the pit in search of gold. It is not clear how many more people have been trapped in the pit, but eyewitnesses say they saw between 11 and 15 men entering the pit. The NADMO Zonal Director for Petransa, Ofosu Kwabi, says most of the Galamsey operators returned to mine on Sunday night after they had earlier been driven away. The deceased have been identified as Abubakar, 35 years, and Malam Yapie, 30 years, both residents of the town. The injured have been admitted at the Stewards Hospital at Yaokwe. The Konongo Divisional Police Commander Superintendent Ohene Buedi Bosman said his unit will be compelled to rely on excavator to dig deeper in efforts to rescue victims.
Our divisional task force, and then they went there, they saw the people applied the mine security. And 2 a.m., they sneak and went there. And the patrols, we cannot be everywhere every time. We thought the place is calm, the place is silent. Not knowing around 2 a.m., some people decided to go and do their own thing at dawn when we are all asleep, and this thing happened.
A meeting of all the security agencies and stakeholders has been scheduled for Tuesday, July 25. The latest accident comes a few weeks after 14 miners were declared dead after having been trapped for days in a collapsed pit at Prestia in the western region. The disaster comes at a time when the government is waging war on illegal mining across the country.
In other stories this evening, family of late President Mills has expressed disappointment at the Mahama-led NDC government for not fulfilling promises made to them following the death of the professor. Promises to renovate family house and to establish a new one for the family are all yet to be fulfilled. Spencer Kwabena Boateng Mensah visited Ekumfi Uchuam and has filed this report.
The penalty for it.
And suffer the penalty.
So help me God.
So help me God.
President John Evans Atameos died on July 24, 2012 in Accra, 3 days after he turned 68 years. The state interred his remains in the capital, and anniversaries have since been observed in memory of him. As part of measures to commemorate him, the Atta Mills Memorial Library was established in 2016 at Cape Coast. The library, which has a 100-capacity auditorium, 45-seater multimedia center, seminar rooms and a museum, will be managed by the University of Cape Coast when opened to the public. Otuom, the late president's hometown, is a fishing community at the Ekumfi district in the central region with approximately 9,000 residents. It's been 5 years since the professor passed on, and the family said they are yet to receive official information from government about his 5th anniversary. Family Secretary Samuel Dazi said the previous government was consistent with informing the family about anniversary arrangements.
There
is no information about his anniversary unlike previously, so we have not made any preparations.
Information gathered indicates that the late president extended electricity, constructed roads, and provided pipe-borne water to the community.
You may remember late President Atta Mills for any of his legacies, but for his relatives and natives of Ekumfi Otuom here in the central region, his departure has left a very huge vacuum in the family and the community at large.
He was always available when the family needed him.
He decided to do much for the community, but he passed away, so it has cost us much.
Missed him a lot because he promised about doing so many things for us. I learned the promise of building a secondary school with dormitories and letters. And I think so far she's not around. We only had a secondary school but no dormitories, and we are facing some challenges about it.
The family is, however, not happy with the previous government, saying it has failed to fulfill promises made to the family, which include renovating the old family house.
None of the promises have been fulfilled, although all plans have been made for the establishment of the new family house.
He added that the family was also told of a reburial of the late professor's remains at Otuom.
Why we needed his body was to make the community a tourist site.
But there is the Atta Mills Community Senior High School at Otuom.
My kids could have grown to be like him should they have fulfilled the promises.
Some fisher folks say seeking formal education for their wards is a priority. When business is not good, we are not able to cater for the education. But 12-year-old Prince Kwanzaa would like to be enrolled in school when supported financially.
Most families here at Ekumfi Otuom in the central region depend on fishing for livelihood. And so when things become bad, education becomes a wish for children like Kwanzaa, who tells me he has never been to school because of lack of funds.
Who knows, some of these children could be professors and presidents someday if they gain access to education.
That's a worrying situation in Otuom. But from Otuom, let's come to Accra, where the former president, John Dramani Mahama, has reiterated the need for Ghanaians to remember what Professor Mills stood for as they celebrate his 5 years since he passed on. He is disappointed Ghana remains torn apart by party differences, which Professor Mills tried to scale.
It was a brief and solemn ceremony at the Asumdwe Park in Accra, where the late President Mills was laid to rest 5 years ago. Several NDC bigwigs were present. Robert Kwabena Pokuchere represented the senior minister Yao Osafo-Maafo. Former President John Mahama laid the first wreath on behalf of the state. Professor Mills's son, Kofi Mills, laid one on behalf of the family. Then party chairman Kofi Potofi on behalf of the NDC, and the final one by members of the Kuku Hill, where the late president's campaign office is located. President Mahama, in an interview, said in remembering the late president, his good deeds should be emulated.
Even though I think that people feel vengeful, we must remember his characteristics and still try to live up to those values. And so as we celebrate the 5th anniversary, let us all remember what he stood for. That the opportunities of this country should be open to all our people, irrespective of their political affiliation.
Brother of the late president, Samuel Atta Mills, said his brother lived a life worth emulating.
It is good to see friends and family over here reminiscing and then talking about the good old Prof. That tells you that he was a good man. He did so many good things personally, and he did very good things for himself, the family, and then also for the country. It is nice to recognize somebody for the contribution that he had made to the country.
And the architectural design at the Asumdwe Park, where the remains of the late President Mills's body was laid to rest, has stalled 5 years after his demise. The project, which originally was designed to have a library, mausoleum, as well as a mini zoo, is still not officially open to the general public owing to lack of funds.
It's been 5 years since the former President John Evans Fifi Atta Mills joined his ancestors. The entire nation gave him a befitting burial, and his remains was kept here at Asumdwe Park. We are here to find out how the entire remains and the place being kept as promised since 5 years ago. This is the state of the Asumdwe Park. The park was expected to have a library, a mausoleum and a zoo. But 5 years down the lane, most of them are yet to be completed, as the original plan of the building a well-suitable place for the former president still hangs. The purpose of the state making the park a tourist site has also not materialized.
I was trying to look for an inscription on the tomb, but I couldn't find any. It was blank. There was nothing to indicate that Professor Atta Mills was lying down here. It's just a blank stare. Even the coat of arms is also wearing off.
Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Kuku Anyoroho, said the party has intentions of raising funds through the Atta Mills Foundation to complete the stalled projects.
Over there you see some birds, but on this side where you have the picture board, behind it you see some buildings, some uncompleted buildings. That is where we're supposed to have a mini museum, a library, a cafeteria, and restrooms. So that was going to complete the whole Asumdwe Park, but somehow we've not been able to finish those structures. So as we move along, we are going to see how we can do that under the auspices of the Atta Mills Foundation, the Atta Mills Institute, and well wishers. Of course, we will appeal to government as well if they can help, so we can complete it. The master plan was for it to be like the Kwame Nkrumah Mausoleum.
The two structures here are expected to serve as a library and a mausoleum, and the zoo currently has 4 ostriches, white geese and a fish pond. A tourist, Stephen, wondered why he was not charged for touring the facility.
We didn't pay something, and it was very interesting to see Christianberg, the old castle, and we had a wonderful guide. He showed us everything. It was all for free.
They should try to improve it to make it a national monument, and then they could even start collecting fees for people who come here, create a museum on its behalf to show its documentaries.
It is the hope that the current government will help bring the project into being and subsequently open it to the general public.
These are honestly very interesting revelations.
To think that he didn't pay for it is quite
tourists are going there; they are not paying for it. And the question is, what objective or what plan did we have
at the beginning?
The Asumdwe Park when we're putting it together. Is it a national project so that the NPP government or this particular administration is bound to continue it, or it was something that the NDC started? You know, and President Mills died as the president of the Republic of Ghana.
It should be. And
not the flag bearer of a political party. But former President Mahama is saying that government is to ensure the Asumdwe Park is well kept. Well, the former president said he expects the current administration to complete the projects at the site.
Every year, ceremonies are held to remember the former president who died and has been laid to rest here at the Asumdwe Park. But many have raised concerns about the poor state of the park. Certain projects, such as a mini zoo, the mausoleum and a library, have still not been completed. I asked the former president why the projects could not be completed.
Well, you'll probably have to ask government that. I'm out of office.
You were in office then?
I said government is in charge, and so if there are any additions they want to make, that is up to them.
Deputy General Secretary Koku Anyidoho is hopeful all the projects will be completed. It's been 5 years and we were told that there would be a mini zoo, a library and others, but they've still not been completed. How come?
Let's just say that it's work in progress. We wish that we would have completed by now. We haven't, but it's work in progress. I'm sure next year by this time it will be better than it is today.
Brother of the late president was dismayed about the state of the park.
They spoke about Asumdwe Park, and there were so many assurances given. These assurances haven't been fulfilled. There are 8 more graves dug over here. So I don't know if it's going to be for presidents who pass away in office or any other president who passes away. The other side is overgrown with weeds. Today this place looks clean because we're coming here for this anniversary. But come back about a month and see how this place looks.
He proposed an individual or institution to be in charge of the presidential burial grounds.
If somebody passes away and they don't bury the person here at Asumdwe Park and they go to his or her village, who will go and take care of that place out there? So this was what I was asking, so that we could go to whoever it is and, ask them if they need help with financing or with whatever it is.
Certainly a matter of concern.
Seriously.
But let's turn attention to education now, as hundreds of tertiary graduates who were left with no choice but to push and shove their way through this year's National Service Placement Registration exercise. The first day of the exercise was fraught with confusion as security personnel were called in to keep the situation under control. TV3's Solace Rose Quarte was there and has come through with the following report.
It's the first day of the placement registration exercise at the regional office of the National Service Secretariat. The exercise had come to a complete standstill barely 2 hours after it had begun. These tents had been mounted for registrants. More metal barricades had to be brought in to make way around the registration tents. Several calls by the officials for the crowd to move back appeared to have fallen on deaf ears. Frustration and disappointment were registered on the faces of many. The situation got so bad that some could not take it anymore.
Now you'll be probably shocked to realize that they are doing something very simple. This is why they are here. The registration number at the top. The queue is just for the officials to write this on your form.
Some distressed graduates spoke to the news team.
We are suffering. Some were collapsing. I have a friend who collapsed here this morning, a guy. So what will a lady do?
I wish the government would help by doing something about it. At least there can be an online registration process, or if it would be in badges. I and my friends, for example, we had to sleep the whole night here.
The registration for the 2016-2017 placement year is slated from July 24 to August 24.
Very disturbing situation there. And why is it so worrying to see these young persons who are applying for national service going through such difficult situations? Well, just to think of the fact that they contribute immensely to the employment sector and to the world of work in our country, both public and private sector. On the screen behind me here shows the total number of personnel deployed for the year 2017-2018. That's 91,871 for the public sector, 76,908, making 85%, with 14,963 for the private sector, making 15%, and agric positions 2,170. And those in the agric positions are particularly timely because they are related to President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's Planting for Food and Jobs program. So it's clear to see that the manner in which these individuals are being treated and how difficult the procedure is to actually get application for their national service makes it even more worrying when we look at their role that they play in the whole nation development in our country. Alfred, let's take this discussion.
Thank you, Natalie. An almost chaotic situation, as you saw on your screens. Ambrose Ntiwa Jr. is the head of public affairs at the National Service Secretariat. He joins me in the studio. Good evening, Ambrose. Now, why should they be subjected to this kind of stampede and this inhuman treatment? You saw some of them collapsing, and we also have reports that a lady sustained serious degree of injury, bled profusely because some military persons you brought there manhandled them. I mean, how?
Well, thank you very much. Let me say that we did not bring military personnel there to handle them. We brought them to control the crowd, to ensure that the queues actually moved on smoothly. If you watch the clip, the reporter was talking about the fact that you only needed to go and submit the form, get the number, and then you'll be given a particular day to come back and pick the form. We had reports of these things around 6 a.m. This morning. The acting executive director, Honorable Yusuf Mustafa, and his deputy, Deputy Abuaje Wari, came to the office around 7:30, and we decided to move to the field to see what was going on. So we went there after the reports had come in. So unfortunately, we did not see what had actually happened, even though we heard about them. So we got there and we had to give some instructions as to how these things would be done to save the situation. But let me say that we were expecting quite a number of people to be there, but not as many as we
so what accounts for this kind of situation? Because this situation is not peculiar to this year.
Yes, correct.
Maybe this year is a little more chaotic than the previous years.
Because the numbers have gone up. This year we have posted over 30,000 alone to Greater Accra, over 30,000. We had decided to spread the registration centers. We had created 5 zones. So we were expecting the service personnel to come in. The registration is actually for 1 month, from today to the 24th of August, 2017.
No, I get
so,
the point.
But everybody wants to go there the first day. That has been the problem, even though we had given out a number of...
Exactly the point. Yeah. The point I'm trying to make is that this situation we're seeing on television is not peculiar to this year. Every other year, way back to the time I did my national service so many years ago, until now, today, it's still happening. So, do you enjoy seeing students suffer like this?
No, we don't
or
enjoy.
you're thinking of decentralizing the process? I mean, what solutions are you considering to be able to address this situation? That's what I'm talking about, because this problem has been there.
Yeah, we don't enjoy seeing these things. They are regrettable, though. I must say that if you were on site to see how the executive director himself was going around and trying to assist in keeping order at the place. At that point, they were not even minding the security personnel there because of the large numbers. And as I indicated earlier, it is because everybody wants to get registered. But you see, sometimes some of our service personnel were also not being fair to their own colleagues. For instance, somebody came as early as 6 a.m. or even before that. Then you come around 8:30 and you want to be served immediately and you leave. So definitely the person who has been there before you will not be happy, and there will be that kind of struggle to get the right things done. So if you look at that number going through the process to get registered, then some of these things will be expected. What we did was that we immediately instructed that the centers could be increased. I'm talking of the receiving points. But
at the regional office.
At the regional office. But it's not only the regional office. We had about 5 zones.
To the regional office to do this registration?
Yes. Some have suggested that we should go biometric or registration. But there's a reason why we haven't gone there. I'm sure National Service has been in the news for some bad things with regard to the impersonations and ghost names and all that. So we want to ensure that we are actually dealing with people who are actually service personnel. Now, but if I tell you, there have been a number of people who have been arrested because of some of these things. One, somebody may have completed the maybe post-HND and has gone to the top up for the degree. Now, the thing is, every university or every tertiary institution is supposed to give us the final year list. Now, oblivious of the fact that some of them may have done the service already. They will bring the names, and then we would issue the PIN codes, and we will do posting audit. Now, it is there that we realize that somebody may have done the national service already. So we would want that you are the person whose picture is appearing on the form and who is coming for the biometric registration. This, we cannot do it online. So it's only because the numbers are huge. Otherwise, this should be the best situation to flash out those who are actually not supposed to.
So very quickly, those who are coming there tomorrow, the numbers are still going to be the same. So what are you going to do?
We've asked them to increase the number of receiving points. And then you see, the advice to them is that when you can follow the queue, if you have come at 8 o'clock and somebody is already in front of you, why don't you wait and follow the person so that we go in accordance with the regulations there. If you come and you want to jump the queue, definitely there's going to be this kind of. But let me say that as a human institution, I'm not saying we are perfect. At Lama, where you mentioned, the military officers helped this, and then tomorrow they are going to be there again. We are going to increase the number of receiving points. We are sure that
just make sure that they don't lash them and.
That was quite unfortunate. We had to talk to them.
That's information we got. That some of them were lashed.
We did not see that when we got there.
I mean, we have to talk to them that cannot be accepted. Ambrose, but
I agree with you.
Thank you. And I wish you well on this. But Ambrose Ntiwa Jr. is the Director of Public Affairs at the National Service Secretariat with this. Still to come tonight. Oral examination of businessman Alfred Bushiweme begins as he is ordered to furnish the court with property number of the house he claims belongs to his younger brother. In the business evening, Monetary Policy Committee of Bank of Ghana reduces policy rate to 21%. And also on the international front, researchers attending an international conference on HIV in Paris say patients may soon be able to take injections rather than antiretroviral tablets.
Hello, very good evening and a warm welcome to the special edition of Business News on News360. Special because today is Natalie Ford's birthday. Happy birthday, Natalie. Let's do some more business now. Now, the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank has reduced its key lending rate to commercial banks by 150 basis points to 21%, while the governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Ernest Addison, said the move was influenced by the improvement of economic activity in the country.
The policy rate is the indicative rate the Bank of Ghana lends to commercial banks. The Monetary Policy Committee, after meeting to assess the health of the economy, decided to reduce its rate by 150 basis points to 21%. This it attributed to the improvement in economic activity supported by a rebound in crude oil production and the implementation of fiscal policy measures towards providing stimulus through the key initiatives contained in the 2017 budget statement.
The committee decided to reduce the monetary policy rate by 150 basis points to 21%. The committee will continue to monitor the risks and take the necessary policy actions to move the headline inflation towards the medium-term target.
Despite the reduction in the policy rate and the downward trend in the interest rate variables, banks are yet to respond in lowering their cost of lending to businesses. This situation the governor of the central bank attributed to the current high levels of non-performing loans and cost of operations by banks.
When you are going through a disinflation process, the policy rate comes down, but the other rates, especially the lending rate, does not drop as quickly. In other words, what you see there is inertia. The banks have long-term deposits for which they are locked into higher costs. So you will not see that quick transmission of the drop in the policy rate, in the rate at which they lend.
As you may be aware, the monetary policy rate is often indicative of the rate at which commercial banks borrow from the central bank. So the big question, will it reflect in the lending rates of the various commercial banks? We'll wait to see what happens. So some other news now, and telecommunications company Vodafone Ghana has launched its new product, the Vodafone Black, for executive clients. Well, the product is designed to give maximum comfort to high clients of Vodafone.
Vodafone Ghana relies on how critical it is for it to understand how to attract and retain customers, has introduced Vodafone Black, a new product focused on high-valued customers. These customers will have the opportunity to reserve unique numbers of their choice and have dedicated account managers who will provide them with concierge services. Again, customers will get to enjoy special treatment and exclusive services that addresses their non-telecommunication needs. This is in partnership with Vodafone's premium partner hotels, restaurants, automobile and aviation companies, among others. Customers will receive free installation of super-fast fiber to their home internet. This product offers a speed that is 10 times faster than any other in the telecommunications market. Installation is at the customer's convenience and comes with no cost.
It's a personalized and limited experience, which is by invitation only for some of our ultra high value customers. These are people in positions and in businesses and situations where a kind of experience they're looking for is worry-free. In other words, they want a package where they can just talk, use data unlimited, and therefore they don't have to worry about how much they're spending. So when you are put on this Vodafone Black offer, it's an offer that is unlimited whether you're on mobile or on fixed.
Customers can also get to enjoy unlimited mobile and fixed plans, family and personal birthday rewards, artist surprises, exclusive invites to events, and personalized network names on their phone screens.
Well, that's all for the very latest in the world of business. My name is Parkus Yasari. Thanks very much for watching. For more news, you can log on to our website, 3news.com.
Thank you, Parkus Yasari. Let's go to some of the stories. To the courts now, where the businessman Alfred Abishiwoyome has told the Supreme Court that he finds it difficult to understand why he has to be orally examined while he has an agreement with the state on payment terms of the 51.2 million cedis he owes. Godfrey Tannum reports he has been ordered to furnish the court with the property number of the house he lives in, which he claims does not belong to him, but to his younger brother.
Alfred Agbesiwoyome during the oral examination said since he was arrested in 2011, he has not been in business but spends all his time in court. Responding to questions concerning the incorporation of a management consulting services, he said although the company was incorporated in 2016, it has still not been in business. When asked what he was engaged in from 1999 to 2011, he told the court he was into sourcing funds for projects mostly owned by the state and was also one of the directors who introduced Red Bull energy drink to Ghana and the rest of West Africa. He said he was involved in some form of diplomatic dealings with Libya and Austria before 1999 when he arrived in Ghana, which has no relations with any business of his. Alfred Agbesiwoyome denied the house he lives in Abilingbe is his own property, but told the court it is a family house funded by his younger brother who is outside the country. He told the court he is not in possession of the documents to the house and cannot produce it for the sake of evidence. The presiding judge, Justice Anthony Benin, however, directed he furnishes the court with the property number of the house for the Director of Lands Commission to appear before it to testify who the real owner of the house is. The oral examination continues on October 2.
I'll take a look at one top story that has been in the news for a while. That's the saga or the war, internal wrangling sort of at the EC, the Electoral Commission, involving the chairperson of the commission, Charlotte Osei. Now, the question we are asking is, did she respond to the petition for her impeachment? And she did. And among her response was what she directed towards Amadou Suli, who's the Deputy Commissioner in charge of operations at the EC. And he responded to say that the allegations that she raised against him was false, saying that he has documents and he is in fact going for legal advice. This he was directing towards the public, letting the public know that it is false and he has documents and he's going for legal advice. And so, Alfred, that just gives a little picture of the wrangling going on within the EC, and it's left a lot of people questioning the integrity of the body as a whole.
Absolutely, and the integrity of the commission is being called to question now. Let's go on to Skype now. Adam Senano is the co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption. He's an anti-corruption crusader. Mr. Senano, good evening to you. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, what we are witnessing now is accusations and counter-accusations, allegations and counter-allegations, with the latest being the other deputy chair who also joined in now. So how then do we establish the truth? You know, which is the most important thing in all of this, what's going on?
Good evening, Alfred, and good evening to your viewers as well. Absolutely, the truth is what matters, and in this scenario, obviously we need an independent group to take a view, to take a look at what is going on in there, and to give us the facts of what the situation is. So far, it appears that the EC chairperson's response has been the most comprehensive, even though considering that this is supposed to be something that is before initially the petition went to the president, and there is a process that ought to be followed. So ideally, we should have waited for the outcome of that. The additional information coming out indicates that whatever the case is, some form of full audit, including a governance and financial one, is necessary to identify what exactly is going on.
Now, so you talk about a certain independent audit to be able to establish the truth about it. How independent should this be, and how should this whole investigation be conducted? Some people have proposed a bipartisan parliamentary committee on this. Is this the way to go?
Well, yes, if Parliament is so minded as to do that. But I guess that, don't forget that where we are now is that there is a process where the president needs to look at the petition, forward it to the Chief Justice, etc. So it's my view that that probably has to be sorted out before anybody else begins to jump in. Otherwise, yes, a bipartisan committee, fine. IOCO is already investigating some issues there, expanding their scope to consider all the financial matters that have come up, whether to do with procurement or contractual, etc., would cover that aspect of it. But there are governance and administrative issues that also ought to be looked into.
Now, the society's responses also bothers on some raising questions about the 2016 elections and certain voter transfers, which she accuses Amadou Sule of doing illegally, transferring voters illegally as against the latest procedure in the law. I mean, if this is established, it could really raise questions about the 2016 election, but we have a DC or MC elections to look out for in 2018, as the president has promised. What should the EC be doing to salvage his image, which is already going down the drain as we speak at the moment?
I think that the EC chair herself should be at the forefront of identifying whichever organizations will be necessary to support them to clarify what has gone wrong and the steps for it. I remember prior to the elections, we had a situation where there were so many court cases, and we felt that there might be a total disaster, and somehow the judiciary managed to help us pull through it. I don't think it's impossible to come to a position on what is going on and what ought to be done, as long as the facts are available. If the administrative issues, they will be dealt with. If people are found culpable and they have to be dealt with criminal cases, that also can be handled. I think what we ought to do is, first of all, to find out what the process with the petition, where it is now, and then subsequently look at what kind of institutions can work with the EC to bring closure to what has transpired so far.
Senano, thank you very much for your time, as always. We're grateful. Adam Senano is the co-chair of the Citizens Movement.
Here on News 360, we've got more news for you shortly. Stay with us.
Good evening, welcome to Sports News on News 360. My name is Michael Otioji. Let's get straight into the stories. And the Ghana Premier League could be on hold for up to a month to make way for CHAN qualifiers, the WAFU Championship, and allow Kumasi Asante Kotoko recover fully from their recent accident. The league is already due to go on break this weekend for the MTN FA Cup, but it is highly unlikely to be back next weekend, according to its communications director, Tammy Muisa.
There is FA Cup coming up this weekend, and the issue of Asante Kotoko being declared medically unfit to play in the league, as well as the upcoming CHAN qualifiers between Ghana and Burkina Faso. Originally, the board had planned that after the FA Cup match, week 25 will be played, and that if at that time Kotoko is still medically unfit to play, then the league will be on hold. But there is also a proposal from the technical team of the CHAN or Black Stars B team that they will need about a week preparation ahead of the qualifier, first league qualifier with Burkina Faso. And this is a squad that is made up of entirely local players, and to continue with the league whilst they are in camp will be a bit problematic. So we're looking at 3 weeks to 4 weeks. That's a month. That's the proposal. So the board will meet and look at the merits and discuss it.
Elsewhere, Manchester City have taken their summer transfer spending to above £200 million after they paid £52 million for France defender Benjamin Mendy in a world record transfer deal. The 23-year-old has signed a 5-year deal and is the club's fifth major transfer after England right back Kyle Walker, Bernardo Silva of Portugal, Brazilian defender Brazilian goalkeeper Ederson, and Danilo from Real Madrid. The heavy outlay on defenders also suggests City understand that is where they need to strengthen. And as you can see, over the last few years, City have spent quite an incredible lot of money on defenders. In only the last two seasons, there's been an outlay of £47 million on Stones. Otamendi cost them about £38 million, and Eleke Mangala came at a cost of £32 million. Still, they continue to concede goals on a regular basis. And still in England, Chelsea boss Antonio Conte has revealed that new signing Alvaro Morata will make his debut for the club on Tuesday in the friendly against Bayern Munich. The Italian confirmed that a £75 million will start on the bench but will play a part in the fixture in Singapore.
My plan is to give him the possibility to play a part of the game against Munich. For sure, not from the start, because he arrived out only yesterday. He started to work very strong today, and but for sure I want to give him the opportunity to play a part of the game against Bayern Munich.
That's all for the sports for our News 360 continues.